Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Robocop Rogue City on the Steam Deck, the LCD one. So let's go into the options and I'll show you what to expect. So 80 degrees FOV, you can increase it, but it'll decrease performance in my experience. Resolution, we got 800p, which is native, 720p, which will give you black bars on the top and bottom of the screen, and 1152 by 720, which is a bit lower than native, but it still fills the entire screen, so we get a few extra frames plus the entire screen. Then upscaling, you got FSR3 with frame generation, but since we don't get 40-ish FPS, I don't recommend you use it. We're going to try it anyway. XeSS, off, or TSR. In this particular game, I like the look of TSR over FSR and XeSS. FSR3 looks a bit too, how to say, pixelated. XeSS looks softer, and TSR I think is the best of both worlds. And on all of them, I recommend the performance mode, which is 50% the resolution, which is pretty low, but we are on Unreal Engine 5. This game got lots of updates, and one of them that I'm really excited about is that you can disable lumen, which is a global illumination thing for the reflections. So you can use screen space reflections instead. So foliage is on medium, the rest on low, view distance on far doesn't make much of a difference. And shadows on medium, since on low, they are very low resolution, and the draw distance of the shadows is pretty poor. And the performance impact is pretty minor, so that's basically it. So let me show you the FPS counter, and let's do something important, which is combat. Combat in this game is where I drop frames the most, because there is a lot of destructible stuff, a lot of effects on screen. Like, I mean, you're shooting the enemies and everything blows off, and there's lots of gore, as you can see there. And it's pretty ridiculous, and I enjoyed this game quite a bit. But as you can see, when you shoot stuff, there's a lot of debris. So while FSR3 looks a little bit too pixelated for my liking, this is a pretty low resolution to begin with. TSR, I think, again, is the best of both worlds. XeSS looks a bit softer, so on the smaller screen it's probably more passable. So this is why I'm doing indoors, because usually the big battles that destroy the GPU are in here. And the fact that they allow us to actually disable the lumen reflections that are super demanding for SSR, it's a nice quality of life improvement, if I say so myself, for lower end stuff such as the Steam Deck and other portable machines. And once you're outside walking around Detroit, that you don't usually have combat in the middle of the streets, is not that demanding. That's why I'm doing this part, actually. So yeah, super satisfying, and there we go. So let me show you one other place that is super demanding. Alright, so another demanding place is in the city. As you can see, due to the super low resolution, there's lots of flickering on glass and stuff into the distance, which really kind of sucks in my opinion. But we're playing on an OG Steam Deck. I saw lots of people playing this game, but on the OLED version, which should be a little bit ahead. I think you can increase the resolution a little bit, maybe balance the XeSS. But on parts like this that are more geometrically complex, plus the amount of enemies and all that, is usually when it suffers the most, at least for me. So let's very quickly swap to XeSS, just to show you what I'm talking about. It's softer, but I think in motion it's better. Yes, I want to apply the changes. So now it's less pixelated, but it's softer. So all up to you. Personally, I like the look of TSR in the smaller screen. But XeSS is also a great option in my opinion, although it runs a bit worse than TSR. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Alright. So you might say, man, this is horrible, absolute garbage, performance, Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, and I tend to agree. The thing is, you're not seeing the full picture, to say it in some way. In the smart screen, I think it's more passable. Of course, not a next-gen experience to begin with, but I think it's a better idea on how it actually looks in real life. So let's jump into portable mode. Welcome back. Now in portable mode, you see in TSR 50%, so half resolution, medium shadows, low textures, because sometimes the game, when you load a new area, decides to crash when you are on medium textures, which kind of sucks, but hey. And also we're locking the frame rate to 30. So 30 FPS. And what about battery life? We're looking at 90 to 100 minutes of battery. Not a big fan of locking it to 30 with the system level FPS counter. But there you go. Oh man. Yeah, it feels too laggy with the system level one. There's also an in-game option to lock it to 30, but the frame times are all over the place. Again, this is with TSR, use XeSS if you want to, runs a bit worse. But I'm going through some of the worst case scenario type of deal, heavy combat with some point lights plus, well, the effects that go from hitting surfaces with your gun. I mean, look at that. That's as bad as it gets. So again, I cherry-picked this level on purpose because of the geometric complexity, the reflective surfaces, and the amount of enemies. Let's go this light for more frames. So would I recommend this on Steam Deck? I mean, if you don't mind the super low pixel count, considering it's a smaller screen, I'm going to zoom in now so you can see what it looks like, closer to using a camera. Despite the super low resolution, I can actually see what's going on. I can aim at enemies and shoot them. I can identify them. But I mean, considering it's an Unreal Engine 5 game, it's pretty subpar when it comes to visuals and performance on the Steam Deck. If you have an OLED Steam Deck, you can crank up that resolution a bit more and have more stable frame times. So if this is the only way you have to play this game, and you really want to play it, sure, go for it. But it's a 30 FPS experience at half 720p. And well, it's playable, but it's not perfect, which obviously we're playing UE5 on a Steam Deck. What were you expecting? So while I wouldn't personally recommend it unless you have other ways to play it, I mean, it's playable. So that's good. Just use TSR, in my opinion, looks the best out of all of them. Here that we have multiple lights that cast shadows. Those kill the GPU. Again, on the OLED, this shouldn't be as common. And now what I'm going to try is FSR3 performance plus frame generation. That requires us to restart the game. So we're going to disable the FPS limit. Go into the pause menu, options, and in the options we keep the 1152 by 720. Instead of TSR, we do FSR3 performance and frame generation, which again, FSR3 performs better than XeSS and almost the same as TSR, but the frame generation just should double the frame rates. Let's see the input lag on that one, but it requires a restart, so let's get to it. Alright, welcome back. Now we're on FSR3 performance with frame generation enabled. As you can see, it says 6 FPS, but look at those frame times. I don't know, it feels... yeah, it feels very choppy. Oh my. Yeah, this is worse than playing at log 30s in my opinion. Especially when there are performance drops as aggressive as this. Yeah, I can barely control this. So, would I recommend frame generation in this game? Please ignore it. At least if you're not getting 50 FPS. Here we're hitting 30s because it's a demanding place. So when we get double the frames, we're actually, yeah, still below 60. So does it work? Yeah, but in practice, I don't know, it just feels horrible to control. It's so choppy. It's kind of ridiculous. So I would ignore frame generation unless you can hit 45 FPS or something like that as a bare minimum. And we're on the lowest settings, by the way. So yeah. So that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found it useful. After a few updates, I love that there's more options in the menu. But it's still Unreal Engine 5 being Unreal Engine 5. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.